Hi guys, in this video we'll be looking at Slow Dancing in a Burning Room by John Mayer, and it sounds like this. Okay, hello guys and welcome to this Slow Dancing in a Burning Room guitar lesson. In this video we'll be looking at all the parts to the song but not the solos. We're going to do those in a separate video so we can really get into nitty gritty of them. So in this one we'll be looking at the intro lick, the chords to the chorus and how to play it, the chords to the pre-chorus, and then some ideas on how to fill those chords out like he does in the tracks with the Jimi Hendrix little Jimi Hendrix techniques and things like that. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, then please go to our website, which is in the link below, where you can see write-ups of this and all other lessons so far. So guys, we are in the key of C sharp minor or E major, whichever you want. E major is quite a common guitar key because we've got this big boomy low note at the bottom. So let's start looking at the intro lick, which is like kind of the famous one, the synonymous. That one. So what we're going to be doing is outlining basically the harmony as it passes. So the chords are C sharp minor, A major and E major. So this first thing is basically all the notes that are in a C sharp minor chord. So I'm starting with my third finger on the 9th fret of the A string, sliding that up to the 11th fret, then with my first finger playing the 9th fret of the G string, and then with my thumb doing this big crazy grip, I'm playing the 9th fret of the low E string. This is a very common thing once you get a bit more dexterous on the guitar to kind of avoid bar chords. It's just a different way of playing. Sometimes you need bar chords and sometimes you want to miss out some of the strings that are in a bar chord. So this is where this is useful. It also kind of frees your fingers up for fills and stuff during the chord. So that first one, A string, G string, low E string. And then you're going to hit it with a mute. So I'm letting the pressure off with my left hand and just striking the strings. You see my fingers come off there. I haven't moved them away because I don't want that. I want to stop. Okay? Now the next little bit, that walk down. Let's look at that. So this is harmonies of thirds, intervals of thirds and intervals of fourths. So we've got C sharp and E, so that is 11th fret on the D string, 9th fret on the G string, third finger and first finger, and then to the 9th fret of the D string and the 8th fret of the G string, a second finger and first finger. Now moving down to the 6th fret of the D and the G string, with my first finger just barring, and then after that the 4th frets of both those strings. So those are the harmonies I'm talking about. Two notes, that's the interval of a third, and then intervals of fourths. So after that we've got this little hammer on. So that is second finger on the 5th fret of the B string, first finger on the 4th fret of the G string. I'm just going to, with my third finger, hammer on to the 6th fret of the G string. So. And then after that you lift your third finger off to go back to the fingers you had just before. And it's quite like you accent that. So what accenting is hitting the thing particularly harder so it stands out. So you can hear that third one I accented there. And then this is basically an E chord, just an E triad with a hammer on to get into it. So I'm barring the fourth frets of the D and G strings. I've also got it going over the B string, but it's not usually necessary. The reason I'm barring is to get that hammer on. So my first finger is on the 4th fret, my second finger is on the 5th fret of the B string, that's our root, and then I'm strumming all that, and then hammering on with my 3rd finger again to the 6th fret, so it's the same shape as before. Okay, so let's play all that together. And do it one more time slowly. One thing you can add to that intro is a bit of a vibrato on those chords, just to really make them come alive a little bit more. Okay, it's such a lovely intro, just basic harmonies and just little movements in between them. So then we come back to this, same thing. And then the second time round, after we get to here, we go back to that chord we ended the first time on, so that was that E major, so 6 on the D string, 4 on the G string, 5 on the B string, with that hammer on again, and then you hammer on, take your finger off, so you're playing the 2nd or the 4th fret, sorry, of the D string, remember with that bar. And then pinky come into the 7th fret of the A string to play your root, and it gives it that resolution to the melody. So the second time. And sometimes you can add that another hammer on when you play that 7th fret of the A string. You can add that just as a little thing into that chord, just to make it nicer. And that idea of hammering notes on in chords is really useful, and he uses a bit more later on. So just what you want to do is look for the shapes that he's using them in. So these bar chord shapes, they're all just open cage shapes like E and A and all that. So this one, for instance, that I just did that little hammer on, is actually a C major shape if I move that all the way down. So you take that idea and you use the open strings and hammer on into those notes, and it just adds a little extra something to that chord. You can add movement within a chord without changing really anything about it. So during the intro again, another bit comes on top of that. There's loads of guitar dubs in this track. So there's another melody comes in after the second time of that, and it goes like this. So that is just hitting what's called chord tones of each of these chords as we pass. Now what that means is every time you hear this melody kind of stop, 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 stop. Each of those are a note that's within the chord that's going on. So that first chord, C sharp minor, that note's in the chord, which we bend it up to. The next chord's A major, that's where the next stop is, that's in the chord. And then the last chord's E major, that's in the chords. That's why this melody sounds so strong. I've been teaching some of my students this. If you want to make strong melodies, even if you're improvising or writing melodies, look to emphasize the notes that are in the chords that you're playing in at that point. That's how you make these strong melodies that really work and move properly. So how I'm doing that is first finger on the 9th fret of the high E string, then 3rd on the 11th fret, bending that up into the 12th fret, so a half bend. And it's pick, pick, bend. And then you do a little bend again. So release it, bend again, bring the bend back down, all the way down to your 3rd finger or your 4th finger, whichever you feel more comfortable with, on the 12th of the B string. So and then sliding that up to the 14th of the B string, 12 of the B string, 13 of the B string. So the whole melody again. And again, vibrato is so important here to making this really come alive. So that's the first time. So again, this is like a kind of question and answer phrase. First is the question, and the second time we'll resolve it. So the second time ends slightly different. Starts the same way, 9, 11, bent up. And then once we do that walk down to the 12th of the B string, rather than going to the 14, we're going to jump, or slide from the 11th of the G to the 13th, 3rd finger, down again, and then off to the 9th fret of the G string. So I'll play this whole thing slowly, both times round. Okay, so that is one of the tracks. So there's actually a harmony on that, doing the same line but just a different note that harmonizes with it. You can't do the bends with them because you can't really bend. You can't bend properly 2 notes. But if you're interested in what the harmony is, we can do it like this. So if you're playing on your own, you can play both parts. So that is 14 of the B string, 12 of the E string, move that up a tone, and then, so you're on, after you move that up a tone, you're on the 16 and the 14. You then move to the the 17th of the B string, and hammer on to the 16th of the high E string, then back down to 12, 12 and 11. Okay, so we've got this little walk down, ending on the 12 and the 11th, and then you go in, hammer on the high B string from 12 to 14 with your 3rd finger, and sliding on the high E from 11 to 12. Then back down, so back down to 12, 11, and then on to 13 and 12 on the G and B string. So that harmony . So it's basically the same line as this, but there's a higher note as well. So again, that's the first of the phrases. Then the second time, all the way down to there, and this time, you're going to go from the 12 and the 11 on the high B, on the B and the E string, to 13 and 12 on the G and the B, down a tone to 11 and 10, and then down to 9 and 9. So the whole thing, both sections. add a little slide into that third from the end one, just to give it a bit more character. Okay, so that's all the parts to the intro. Let's move to the verse. So all he's doing here is basically outlining the chords: C sharp minor, A major, E major. So for C sharp minor, I believe he's doing it on the 9th fret, so a bar on the 9th fret and an E minor shape. So first finger bar, third finger on the 11th of the A string, fourth finger on the 11th of the D string. So C sharp minor. So this is where he adds those hammer-ons I was talking about earlier in to add a bit of melody and kind of fills into the chords. So that's your bass chord you're going to be working with. He'll mess it around and change it every time he plays it. What's on the track is so it's going to be a strum, then a chop, and then this little fill. So with your bar still in place, that's A string, that's the 9th of the A string, hammer onto the 11th, then playing the D string, then the A string again, that 11th, and then 11 on the D string. So, that's what it sounds like. Basically 9, 11, 9, 11, 11. Adding in hammer-ons and pull-offs where you can. Then down to this A major shape. So this is your thumb over to the 5th of the E string. And then third finger on the 7th of the D string. Second on the 6th of the G string. First on the 5th of the B string. So basically that's just a bar chord shape of an E major, but kind of jigged around so that you've got a thumb and this chord shape. So it's just a strum. And then again, another kind of melody that he adds in would be moving to that E chord. So that would be, you've got your chord here, strum it, and then when you hit the B string, you're going to hammer on with your pinky to the 7th fret, off again, and then move to that E chord. So this E chord is a C major shape. So that is pinky on the 7th of the A, third on the 6th of the D string, first on the 4th of the G string. That would be a bar now, across the B, G, B, and E. So after that, you've got second on the 5th of the B string, and then that bar on the high E, if you wanted the full chord. Okay, so. And then you can change that around. Sometimes he'll do it like that. Sometimes he'll get rid of the note on the A string, and he'll play the low E string and then mute the A string, so he gets this. So the way I'm muting the A string here is just using my third finger. When it's on the D string, I'm just pushing it slightly so it touches the A string. And it makes a nice natural. Now you don't hear that muted sound when I play the rest of the chord. And then pretty much everything else is just variations of that. Anything you can think of, any little Jimi Hendrix licks, you know. Any of those kind of E-shape pentatonics. In that position will work lovely, just as kind of little flicks in that chord. Anything that's off, anything that goes from the bar to a note 2 frets above, except on the B and the E string, of course, because as you know, in this shape, that's where your notes are. Just look for any of those notes in that pentatonic position. And then see if you can add any hammer-ons or pull-offs into those shapes to make these little melodic switches between the chords. So that's the harmony for the verse and the chorus. It just goes around that. It'll kind of mess around, have fun with it. If we move on to the pre-chorus now, we've got a new chord, B. So it's the same shape as we had for that A major with our thumb over. Just moved up 2 frets. So now thumb on the 7th, then we've got 9 on the D, 8 on the G, 7 on the B string. And he's also got that high E string going to be open, ringing through. And he's got this little, that thing going on. So that's his pinky rotating between being off and on of the G string. So it's just going on to the 9th and off again. On, or sorry, off, on, off, on. It's just that. So I'm using down up strokes here. And just that constant pinky going. Off to a C sharp minor, same chord as before. Off to an A major. So B major, C sharp minor, A major. And you can see those little flicks I'm doing there. So I'm going from a C sharp minor 7, which has got the pinky off, to hammering the pinky on to that 11th fret, off again, then to an A. So I'll show you a little bit closer. Off to an A, then back to a B. C sharp, A again. And then it's just back into the verse chords, C sharp minor. So it's actually a really simple song, but I mean, it's so good. It's a really great example of adding melodies to chords and fills to kind of make it a bit more interesting. Rather than just strumming away on that chord, you can actually add some intrigue to it. Okay guys, stay tuned for the solo videos in which I'll be looking at the main solo of the song and the outro solo as well, so you can get some ideas of how he's playing over this. That's been it for me. Good luck with the practice. I'll see you next time.